I've never actually seen the show called The Midwife, but it sounds like it's going to be right up my alley. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Dr. Nicole. I'm actually a pelvic floor specialist and I love all things related to pregnancy and giving birth. So I cannot wait to watch Call the Midwife with all of you.
No matter what science sought, our challenge remained the same: to accept what it meant to be human, to embrace our strengths, our weaknesses, our dreams.
I think I've just spotted the first pregnant person. I am pretty sure that that woman right there is pregnant.
You go on then. You've got work. I'll manage from here. She's in good hands, Mr. Reed.
Confirmed we have a pregnant person, but also rude looks. I understand that we don't all see a little person on a regular basis, but still so rude to be looking at her like that.
Let's see how baby's getting on. Cold hands, I'm afraid.
Always.
That's all feeling jolly good. Now let's have a listen to baby's heartbeat, then blood pressure, urine sample.
It's funny how even though this setting is obviously years and years back, honestly, appointments for your prenatal visits are not that different nowadays. She kind of felt baby, where baby is positioned in her belly. She's going to listen for the heartbeat, which I would have been curious to know how they do that because now they do it with a Doppler, which I'm doubting that they had back then, but maybe. And then she basically said, we're gonna take your blood pressure and get a urine sample, and all those things are pretty commonly done at appointments even now.
And we'll book you in for a home visit.
Oh, I shan't be at home. I'm to go to St. Cuthbert's for my cesarean.
We'll want to see you regularly now. Well, it'll save you the trip.
Never dared hope for such treatment.
It took me a minute to catch that, but I'm pretty sure she wanted to schedule a home visit with her, and the woman went ahead and said, I'm actually not going to be delivering this baby at home, which is normally, when you think of midwives, they deliver your baby at home, but she said she was actually scheduled for a cesarean delivery, and this is actually pretty common with little people because they don't actually have a big enough pelvis to deliver babies safely. So it would be a risk for mom and baby for baby to get stuck in the pelvis. So even now, years and years later, this is still the most common way. I'm not going to say it never happens, but it would be very, very uncommon to deliver a baby vaginally.
Pregnancy for a woman with achondroplasia is quite risky. How can Mrs. Reed not be aware of that?
I don't know, Doctor, but she's definitely been booked in for a cesarean, so... Well, someone must have discussed the potential problems of a vaginal birth.
The size of the pelvis is an obvious one, but there are others, and she should be aware of them.
It's normally wonderful seeing a mother brimming over with excitement. In this case, it unsettles me.
Let me do a bit of digging. Once we've seen the notes, we'll know what she knows, and then we can work out the best way to help.
I can definitely see what the doctor is saying, that they really do want mom to be completely aware of the risks going into pregnancy, and I really think this is important for everyone. I'm a big fan of letting women know the risks of any intervention or anything they're going to receive during their pregnancy, during their labor and delivery. So I think it is important that, and very honorable, that they want to make sure that mom knows all the risks of her pregnancy. I also can see the midwife's perspective here, that who wants to just go in and tell a mom that, you know, don't get your hopes up because this probably isn't going to end well. I don't think that's really helpful for anyone to be down in the dumps or feeling like this is going to be a failure. I think it's really a good idea to feel encouraged and supported and hopeful as much as possible, because obviously she's already pregnant. Honestly, I think being hopeful is something that's going to help her get through this pregnancy. I'm interested to see if she does know the risks that go along with having this C-section and just being a little person, but even if she does know the risks, I don't think that focusing on the negatives or being worried or stressed out about it is going to be helpful in any way.
Both parents are dwarfs, so there's a high chance this baby will be born with the same condition.
But it could still be healthy. But it would be so loved.
I know. And if the genetics work out differently, it could actually be of normal size.
Really?
It's possible, but it's also possible the baby will be stillborn or only live for hours. And we have no way of knowing which way the dice will fall.
In which case we must prepare Mrs. Reed for every scenario, even the saddest.
I'll do that. I have to.
It's amazing that this midwife is willing to go in and talk to mom. It would be very shocking, discouraging, upsetting for someone that she doesn't know to go in and tell her, like, oh, there's a very high likelihood that this pregnancy isn't going to go well, or that there is a chance of stillbirth. I think it's so important that someone that she already has a relationship with is going to be the one to deliver this, I'm sure, very unsettling news to her.
Her previous GP told her. He also told her that she should terminate the pregnancy.
I have no idea what the process for terminating a pregnancy was back at this time period, but I also find it really upsetting that a physician would tell her that she needs to terminate the pregnancy just because there's a chance that it wouldn't end well. I feel like if she knows the risks of what could happen during delivery, that is her call, that is her decision. And I would really hope that no physician is ever telling someone they need to abort their fetus. That is definitely the decision of the parents, not the physician.
We know you understand the risks associated with your pregnancy. All I want is to be able to help with what may lie ahead.
I wanted this baby for so long. No one ever thought I'd be able to fall, never mind Harry. They were wrong, nurse. Why can't they be wrong now?
I so very, very much hope that they are. But I have a duty to care for you as much as for baby, and part of that's trying to prepare you.
I can feel my baby. He kicks and wriggles when we sing to him. It's my little miracle, nurse. Don't ask me to give up, because I won't.
I just kind of really love this scene because the nurse is being like, hey, we know that there's risks. You know that there's risks. I want you to know that I care about you and your health too. And she's saying, nope, I know that there's risks and I still want to be excited about this pregnancy and I'm going to be hopeful and that's what I'm going to do. And I think that's awesome. They both did a really good job of kind of acknowledging the situation, but talking about exactly what it's going to look like moving forward.
One day. Perhaps for a coffee morning. They wouldn't want to come, would they? It would be a trek for them. You're finishing the pram first.
The pram doesn't earn me money. Repairing the clock does.
Derek, we need the pram ready.
We don't. We're in cloud cuckoo land. I'm scared of you going to that hospital and you won't come out. Neither of you.
That is such a real emotion, and I think one of the hardest part, even for me when I was expecting my first, was that thought of like, what if something goes wrong? And then I come home and I have this nursery, and you do hear that story when in those terrible, tragic situations where something happens to baby. And I think it's completely realistic that he has fears. He also has heard what the doctor said and the risk involved with her pregnancy for both her and the baby. And I love that they're showing some of those emotions that dad is feeling, because sometimes I think we forget that they're scared, they're nervous too. And bringing another baby into the world often involves both parents. So I'm pretty sure that was not her peeing her pants. I'm pretty sure that was her water breaking. And in case you are wondering, what is it like when your water breaks? It's not painful at all. It's actually a good sign that labor is coming. It sometimes feels like a relief if it happens like very close to pushing, because you feel like, okay, now I can start pushing. I'm sure for her, there was a lot of fear involved in her water breaking, because obviously this means that she can feel her baby moving and it's nice and safe inside of her. And once she delivers, she just doesn't know what the future is going to look like for her or her baby. But this is a very good time to get to the hospital, especially if you're scheduled for a C-section like she is, because probably if her water is breaking, that means that contractions and all the labor process is going to follow. And if they do want to do a C-section, they're going to want to get her in and have her surgery done before she goes into natural labor.
I will telephone the hospital and an ambulance will collect you and your surgery will be brought forward. Stay perfectly calm. There's nothing to be upset about.
I don't know, in her shoes, I might be a little upset because someone just told me that there is an extreme amount of risk for her and baby. So I think it's pretty understandable that she's upset, but again, the role of the midwife to make sure she stays calm. So doing a great job with that.
This woman is a primate gravida with achondroplasia. A pelvic abnormalities bar a vaginal delivery, thus a caesarean section is necessary. Labour has begun at 37 weeks, therefore we must proceed immediately and get her to theatre.
Okay, I think we've all endured some med students along the way, but this is like ridiculous. Obviously, this is a rare case, something that probably this doctor and students haven't seen, but still, talking about the patient as if she isn't even there is so inappropriate, and I hope that that never happens today. There are always things we can learn about and teach about, but I think it's really important to acknowledge the patient sitting there, especially someone that's already terrified because of her situation, and then explaining it gently. Maybe there are things you're not going to talk about directly in front of the patient, and obviously I can see that she would be so upset about that. I'm a little upset about it, and I am not even there. If you know anything about C-sections now, oftentimes mom is awake. You can see in this scene that she is completely knocked out, and I'm sure that was pretty common to be completely under anesthesia and not even conscious during your C-section. Thankfully, things are done a lot differently now, and mom is completely awake. She is just numbed from the waist down typically, so she can still be a part of everything, hear what's going on, hear the birth of her baby, although this situation is a little bit alarming because there is no crying that happens after the baby is born, which we all know that we want to hear crying to know baby is awake, alive, the lungs are working really well, so that is definitely a scary situation when baby comes out and there is no crying. You may have noticed also that the cut that was done was an up and down cut, and typically with C-sections now they are a horizontal cut, like kind of go along your bikini line. This is a cut that is going to be much more mom friendly because it's going to be a lot more discreet and usually heals up really well. They do sometimes do the up and down cuts during C-sections, but this is a lot more rare. It would probably have to be an emergency or a special circumstance to do that up and down cut, but it does still exist. I would be really curious to know if they did this because she is a little person or if they did it just because that's the way that they did C-sections then.
You have a daughter. Yes. Yes, Penny, your baby as well.
There is nothing that melts my heart more than a happy ending. I love that they ended it that way and that she has a healthy baby girl. That's amazing. I am so excited for them.
Forgive the term, she's normal sized.
Don't you mean big? But what if we can't manage her? What if she can't bear that we're dwarfs?
Mrs. Reed, I'm not a mother. But I know what it is to be a child and to be afraid. So do not doubt how much your child will love you.
I think it's completely understandable that she has a lot of fears and concerns about bringing her baby home, and the fact that she is going to be a normal height is probably even a little bit more concerning. It's something that we don't really like to talk about because we don't want to make her feel like she is less of a person because she is a little person, because that's absolutely not true. But for anyone that's not an average height and average weight, things are more difficult. If you are a bigger person, it's harder to sit on an airplane seat. If you are a taller person, it's going to be harder for you to walk through rooms without hitting your head on things. If you're in a wheelchair, it's going to be harder to get in and out of small spaces. Not only does she have the normal struggles that go along with being a little person, now she has to do all those things after a major surgery. Even today, after having a C-section, it's difficult to get in and out of bed. It's difficult to climb the stairs. Actually, it's recommended that you don't do a lot of stair climbing. And as we've already seen from this episode, she has to climb a set of a few stairs just to reach things around her kitchen. So that's going to make things a lot more challenging when she gets home. As physical therapists, occupational therapists, we actually go into homes of people that have, abnormal situations, and we can make modifications. So if you're in a wheelchair, we need to find a way for you to move baby throughout the house without you having to stand up and get baby, because that's not an option for you. We need to find ways for her to be able to get baby in and out of a bed because a typical crib is not going to work for her. We're gonna wanna find ways to create a nest around her at home so she doesn't have to do a lot of moving, so she can reach things, because she is going to be in pain and have quite a recovery after her C-section. Even though it's uncomfortable to talk about the things we're not going to be able to easily do, it really is important to address these things. If you're a provider, make sure you're having this conversation with patients, and have you thought about what it's going to be like when you get home, how you're going to do diaper changes, how you're going to get them in and out of bed. Maybe they had something happen during labor and delivery and now they can't feel their legs well. I've definitely had this situation. Mom goes home with a walker. Well, how is she going to carry her baby around the house? For this woman, what are the things she's going to face when she gets home?
Nurse, we're observing Mrs. Reed. Mr. Simpkins delivered baby yesterday.
Not today. Mrs. Reed is not a specimen. She's a mother. Let her have this moment in private.
I'll tell Mr. Simpkins about this.
You go, girl. I love that. That was so rude. I cannot even get over how this woman is just being treated like a science experiment or something. That is just, oh, I hate that.
What if she outgrows her?
We never really outgrow our parents. We just think we do.
What if she thinks us peculiar next to all the others?
Sometimes we have to stop wondering and worrying. We simply have to do what scares us most.
Not just a message for new moms, but I'm pretty sure that is just a great motto for life in general. Well, that was a super happy episode, minus a few parts that I didn't show you. You're gonna have to head over to Netflix and check out Call the Midwife yourself if you wanna see all of that. Amazing recommendation, you guys. I love that show, and I'm pretty sure I now have a new show that I need to fit into my life somehow. If you have any other recommendations for shows that you would love to see me react to, go ahead and throw those in the comments. If you want to go ahead and watch another reaction, that's going to be right up here. Thanks so much for watching with me today. I will see you all in the next video.